So Johnny Depp appears to be kind of sailing off into the sunset, and I thought we'd do just a little bit of a sort of capping off and a bit of a retrospective on how we've come to this point, because it's kind of wholesome, to be honest. It's one of the few wholesome things that's happened recently. And naturally, after the defeat of Amber Heard, there has been a lot of, I believe the kids are calling it moulding over this, where the progressive, and the quote, hashtag I stand with Amber Heard team have been complaining about this publicly and loudly.
All 5 of them?
Well, no, it's about 500 of them, but then that puts them against about 500 million on Johnny Depp's side. So it just looks like they're in double digits. But so the questions become like, well, how did Amber Heard lose? And it's like, well, because she seems to be an obvious liar and abuser, as Camille Vasquez went and told ABC's George Stephanopoulos on their news program. Because, of course, the left-wing media are like, okay, well, we've got to try and make it look like Amber Heard isn't the villain here. And it's like, yeah, but, I mean, listen to what she said. And
look, I know we give ourselves the biggest tasks.
Yeah, I know. So Camille was just like, well, our strategy was to use Amber Heard's own words against her. Yeah,
right? It's a bold strategy.
Yeah,
it will pay off.
I mean, we've got some great quotes that you can really see how, this came across really badly to the jury. Right, get to the next one. Amber Heard, I was not punching you, I was hitting you. That's a direct quote. Camille Vasquez, imagine if Mr. Depp was the one saying this to Miss Heard. It's hard to imagine that it would have gone his way.
No,
if the clip that you were listening to was him saying, "I'm not punching you, I'm hitting you." it would have been pretty bad, right? And then
no one would have given him the time of day forever if he'd ever heard that.
Of course not. Of course not. And then, of course, the next one, tell them I, Johnny Depp, a man, am a victim of domestic violence and see how many people believe or side with you. Again, you can see who's got control there. You can see who's doing that.
It's also villain to the extreme that if you had written down a story of a man finally getting justice in the courts, if the men rights activists were writing a novel about how a man would finally get justice, I mean, they'd have that as a line from the woman.
Well, yeah, but...
the antagonist.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's literally the sort of rhetoric a supervillain would use. Like, taunting their victim when they know their victim is powerless to get people to believe that they're being the victim here, right? And so, so there's one interpretation where it's like Amber Heard seems to be an abuser, a manipulator, and knows that people won't believe Johnny Depp because he's a man. Or you've got the other side, which say things like, it's so upsetting that a woman who wrote an article about speaking up about domestic violence and facing our culture's wrath and needing its change is being mass cancelled by society because she spoke up about her abuser Johnny Depp. Hashtag I stand with Amber Heard. Isn't that upsetting? Is a woman not entitled to falsely accuse a man of rape and battery?
I'm amazed by the level of ignorance. Again, I mean, this is like your previous segment where we spoke about the people who still think Carl Rittenhouse shot black men.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, how can you honestly sit there and think that she's an innocent woman who is feeling the wrath of our culture? How can she get this in her life? Shouldn't she have smooth sailing through her life of accusing everyone of being a domestic abuser?
Well, that's a great question, and one that has apparently been answered by the patriarchy, which is holding Amber Heard down under its evil thumb. But of course, this means that Johnny Depp's lawyers have got to go on Good Morning America, which is in fact the same program we were referring to a second ago, and explain that, look, this isn't a setback for victims because, hello,
the victim won.
Yeah, exactly. Domestic violence doesn't have a gender. As in, it's not just that, men abuse women and that's just how it is. And that's how it's always been. That's how it always will be. And I mean, literally, do you think it's going to have a chilling effect on domestic violence victims? And it's a blow to the Me Too movement. And she's just like, well, I think our response is that we encourage any victim to come forward. Domestic violence doesn't have a gender. And he's like, do you not see it as a setback in any way, shape or form? She's like, no.
The victim won.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly, if you go to the next one, that's exactly what people have been pointing out. Just like, well, hang on a second. Your narrative is that men abuse women, but this is actually the case of a domestic abuse survivor getting justice, and that explodes your entire narrative. You can't have a man being abused. Even when you just listen to the clips. We've covered it so many times. Just listen to the clips.
But again, I mean, the media pick the strangest hills to die on. I mean,
they absolutely do.
To try and deny that men can be victims of domestic abuse ever in all times and all places.
It's mad, isn't it? I mean, I just can't. I mean, don't even want to begin trying to unpack it here. But anyway, that was just a quick retrospective, right? This is why the public is overwhelmingly siding with Johnny Depp. And Johnny Depp then posts a very kind message to his TikTok. Let's go to the next one. This is what he posted. To all my most treasured, loyal, and unwavering supporters, we've been everywhere together, we've seen everything together, we've walked the same road together, we did the right thing together, all because you cared, and now we'll move forward together. You are, as always, my employers, and I once again am whittled down to no way say thank you, other than by saying thank you. So thank you, my love and respect, Johnny Depp. Very humble, very nice. I don't know what you could complain about there. Like, just...
I mean, it's not like he just had fun with it and just uploaded 10 minutes of him laughing.
Yeah, exactly, which I would have done.
You and me may have found that friggin' hilarious. Yeah. There would be an understandable, at least some aspect of being like, how could he do this? But no, completely respectful, completely professional.
And no, it doesn't insult Amber Heard or saying something derogatory about her or anything like that. He's taking the high road and just being a good chap about it, right? Good optics at the very least. So Amber Heard decided to respond to this on Twitter, and it was great because apparently he's making women's rights move backwards. So Johnny Depp is the hero that we needed.
Finally.
Yeah. It's like, thank God.
I mean, look, if a woman's right is to have the privilege to defame whoever she pleases,
to falsely accuse a man and make people think that he's a rapist and a batterer,
that one needs to move backwards.
Yes.
Like a few steps.
Yes.
To the point where that's not a thing anymore.
Yes, that shouldn't be a right. Women shouldn't be able to just destroy men's lives through false allegations. Crazy, retrograde, patriarchal. But so a spokesperson for Heard responded to this, to his message, saying, as Johnny Depp says he's moving forward, women's rights are moving backward. The verdict's message to victims of domestic violence is, be afraid to stand up and speak out. The victim won. You're just such liars. You're such congenital liars. You can't help yourselves.
The woman's right to always be the victim.
Yeah. No, that's literally it. The woman's right to be the victim, even when she's the abuser. But I have the right to be the victim because I'm the woman, says the woman's movement. It's like, sorry, Amber, you actually don't. But anyway.
And also that right is disappearing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yes. But of course, and then they include her statement. She's like, I'm disappointed about what this verdict means for women. It's a setback. It sets the clock back to a time when women who spoke up and spoke out could be publicly shamed and humiliated. It's like, no, we recently on Lotus.com, we covered a book called The English Are the Human. It was written in 1932. And in that, he has a passage where he's like, look, in England, a man will not sit on a train carriage alone with a woman he doesn't know for fear of merely being accused of having done something to her. And because he explicitly says, the tears of a hysterical woman can convict a man to prison. This has been like this for at least 100 years, if not longer. It has never been that like, the man is accused, the woman's accused of man, but nobody cares because he's a man. Ha 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 ha. The old boys patriarchy will now, embarrass her in front of the whole world. No, he'll go to jail on the mere accusation. It's been like that for 100 years. It's a great book club, by the way. I really enjoyed doing it. But anyway, so moving on. He's gone in, and again, the high road is the only way I can really describe it, right? So George Stephanopoulos asked Johnny Depp if he would forgo the $8.5 million in damages, roughly, that Heard is due to pay him, and his attorney, Ben Chu, said the case was never about the money for Mr. Depp, but he couldn't reveal much more because of client attorney privilege, right? And so basically what he's saying there is that, look, like that's an open implication there. It's like, look, this isn't about money, and maybe if you wind your effing neck in and take the L, accept you did something wrong, and this has been established legally that you were in the wrong, maybe I won't financially ruin you. I mean, that's a very kind thing to do, a very kind position to put yourself in. But the lawyer representing Amber Heard in a defamation trial said that actually there was an enormous amount of evidence that was suppressed during the weeks-long trial. So, where?
The whole thing has been going on for years. Never mind this particular case, but like this whole thing for years and years and years. There's so much audio. There's so much stuff. As
we saw, Amber Heard herself was... I feel like I've got a spider on me. Amber Heard, if you're watching this and there's a spider crawling on my face, Amber Heard herself was leaking stuff to like TMZ and stuff like this, right? So it's not like she was like
unable to get it out.
Yeah, exactly. Incapable of somehow getting out. She's got millions of followers on social media. Post it. Just post it. Like they have a whole process of like introducing evidence. You get to introduce the evidence you want. Like if you've got evidence, why don't you introduce it?
Also, what a weird kind of self-own for her own court there. Her own lawyers are like, yeah, so our defense is that we were too incompetent to put the evidence forward. That's why we lost. Right, then if that's true, then you're just a crap lawyer anyway.
Yes, it's not exactly a sort of reasoned defense. But of course, let's get the opinion from the Amber Heard stands. Let's go to the next one. Love this.
All 500.
Sounds like someone's worried that they'll lose the appeal. Why? Why would he think he's going to lose the appeal?
Why do these people exist?
Don't know.
I don't...
Really makes you wonder, doesn't it?
I mean, not even any survivor of domestic abuse is on her side, because she's not the survivor. Johnny is. I mean,
I don't know, man.
Are these people all domestic abusers who are women? Who are all on her side because, Yas Queen fan base?
I suspect this is the gaslighting domestic abuser constituency of the feminist movement, yes.
I don't know how many there are.
Yes. But the thing is, this woman is basically saying, look, if Amber Heard appeals, then suddenly it will be true that Johnny Depp shoved a bottle up her vagina and broke it. That will be a true story now. Even though she never went to hospital. Like, nothing, no proof of anything. That will be a part of the law that is true about Johnny Depp. So I just don't think he did that. I'm just call me skeptic. But the question was really, how's she going to pay? Because that might be something that is informing Johnny Depp's decision. Again, one might say he's being humane about this. Now, if I were Johnny Depp, I'd be like, yeah, exactly. No, I think it's actually time for you to face the music here. Heard, as she was grilled about getting her inability to pay the $7 million pledge to the ACLU. Remember that? Where she said, I've given money to the ACLU. It's like, they haven't. Oh, I pledged it. I pledged the money. It's like, yeah, but that's not giving, is it?
I pledge $100 million to the ACLU. I'm better than her now.
I pledged to be the first man on Mars. Suck it, Elon Musk.
The ACLU are cancelled these days.
Yes, they are. But she says, I didn't keep the word because he filed this lawsuit against me. It's like, yeah, sure. But this is the point. She is basically saying, look, I can't afford $7 million because of this lawsuit. How are you going to afford the $8.5 million or so that you owe to Johnny Depp? And the answer is she can't, because we actually have a fairly good examination of Amber Heard's finances. It turns out she is terrible with money and doesn't have very much of it, incidentally. Go to the next one. So Johnny Depp, when they divorced, he had paid her millions of dollars, something like $6.5 million, I think it was. And then this whole court debacle has shown us what her finances are. So at the time, Johnny Depp was worth $400 million, and her finances showed a dim picture. She was earning $10,000 per month, but her basic expenses were around $44,000 per month. So she is probably massively in debt. Or she just burned up all that money and I don't know what's happening now. But
I don't know how she spent that much.
Well,
she's not got a mortgage to pay.
I can tell you how she spends that much, incidentally, right? So in the documents filed by her legal team, records showed that she was spending around $120,000 a year on rent.
What?
Are you an idiot? $120,000 a year on rent.
Was she renting?
Multiple mansions.
Why?
If you scroll up a bit, because she's a Hollywood star.
You're a multi-millionaire. You rent.
Yeah. She was given $6.5 million or $6.8 million from their divorce from Johnny Depp. She didn't buy...
Oh, you know what I'll do with this? I'll put it in rent.
Yeah. I know.
Sorry, that's
so stupid, isn't it?
Stupid of stupid things you could possibly do.
I mean, it's just an embarrassment, frankly. It's like,
I thought, because if she had blown it all on clothes...
we'll get to that. We'll get to it.
But like, that's one thing, right? Where you can kind of understand it, where it's like, okay, yeah, you're a bit of an idiot and you burnt through all your money on desires. To rent apartments or mansions...
For $120,000 a year.
You're a moron of such proportions. Yep. That is unbelievable.
Yep. That was her largest expense. But she also spends $5,000 a month on entertainment and gifts, so cocaine.
Okay. That's more understandable.
Yeah. So that's $60,000 a year on luxury holidays as well. In addition to that.
Like that can make sense though. Like that's
it can make sense if you're not earning $10,000 a month.
Well, dumb gold digger who doesn't know how money works, got a bunch of money, she blows it on going all over the world.
Sure.
That's a story that people can understand, right? But dumb moron spends it on rent.
I mean, yeah, I don't get it either. It's really stupid.
But it's like, it really is unbelievably dumb.
Especially when she could have just bought a house, spent like, $1 million on a house, then it's hers forever. And then, because she only spent $2,000 a month on clothes, only $2,000 a month, but it's like you would have had loads of more money to spend on clothes, Amber, if you just had a bit of brain power up there, She also spends $2,000 a month on eating out. So she's fine dining. $2,000 a month. So okay.
How much is that a day?
A lot. Like
What's that? Like $66 a day going out. So I assume she's
every single day.
every single day.
Or every other day, perhaps. But like either
So
way.
more like $120
But then
she's
she
spending on dinner.
But then she claims to spend another $2,000 on groceries every month. So she's thin for the amount of money she spends on food. I'll give her that. And
She's renting the food.
another $3,000 a month to healthcare, apparently, although the nature of that was unclear. And in total, she'd bring in $260,000 a year. So after all of these expenses, she had $51,000 left over. It's like, right. That's not including like rents and stuff. But the point is, she's terrible with money. So she can't pay Johnny Depp back this money. So I don't think it's actually.
Oh, sorry, I was not going over the idea of being worth $6 million renting a mansion.
I know, it's just so dumb.
Sorry.
But it's not that I think that Johnny Depp, is like worried about the appeal. I would suggest that perhaps is that maybe he's looking at her, knows her personal life because he was married to her. It's like she's crap with money and she can't afford to give me this. This is why the lawyers are. Look, it's not really about the money. This is really about setting the record straight.
I don't know. I feel like you should make her work for it for the rest of her life.
Oh, I think so too. I mean, I'm not saying that I'd be nice and humane like he's trying to be, clearly. I'd be like, no, crush her. How dare you do this to me? The patriarchy will...
How many years of prison do you get for being a domestic abuser?
I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. Like, take whatever that is. Let's say it's 6 years or something.
I've never been to prison for being a domestic abuser.
But that's the thing. And then just be like, right, whatever she has to work for the next 6 years, all of that money which she'd earned just goes to me. And that'll be how it works. Just to try and get
maybe, but like
punishment, frankly.
Again, he's being far too kind. But the thing is, he does seem to be like trying to move on with his life. Like apparently he's recording an album with some guy called Jeff Beck, which is great, Good for them. Have fun. That's not like lingering on what Amber Heard has done to him. Yeah. And recently he went out for a big dinner in Birmingham that you may have heard about.
I didn't,
But look at the feminists at The Independent. Johnny Depp is dining out on his trial win in some truly distasteful ways. What? He went to an Indian restaurant in Birmingham and you're like, ew. Like literally he hired a hold of an Indian restaurant in Birmingham, spent $50,000. That's distasteful, you see.
Oh no, I'm sure the Indian guy who runs the place is very distasteful about the whole thing.
Yeah. So to cap this off, she says, Heard has been summarily destroyed. Based.
With facts and logic.
Yeah.
Literally.
Exactly, but she's only got some sympathy for Heard. I wonder how many of us could honestly say that our mental health would ever recover if we were subjected to the same treatment. But don't worry, at least Johnny's on TikTok now. He'll be dancing to Harry Styles before too long, using adorable filters, giving the people what they want. Maybe he'll reprise his role as Captain Jack Sparrow too and really treat us all. Yeah, fingers crossed, eh?
Hang on, the idea that Amber Heard had any mental health before this. I mean, sorry, she's a psychopath lunatic.
Seems to be.
Alleges that her ex-husband beat her and then thought she would get away with it. I mean, that's not someone who's mentally sane. So the idea that she's any worse off now, I don't really buy it.
Especially if Johnny Depp's prepared to, like, forgo the payments she's supposed to give him.
But don't you know her fifis have been hurt because she was caught?
Maybe she should stop being a liar. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so good on Johnny Depp for sailing off into the sunset for this, to be honest. Yeah, good on him.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can become a member and find all of our premium content on lotuseaters.com, including the latest Epochs number 57 on Mark Antony, done by Bo and Carl. And if you would like to follow us on social media, you can find us on Getter at lotuseaters_com. Thank you and goodbye.